My name is Clark Mercer. I'm the Executive Director of the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments. Welcome to Collaboration in Action, COG's video series where I get out into the National Capital Region and highlight the work that COG is doing with our partners to improve the quality of life for everyone in the region. This show is highlighting public safety and how COG works with area officials to make sure that they're communicating, training together, and planning for emergencies. So let's get to it. To start things off, I caught up with Fire Chiefs John Donnelly, Tiffany Green, and David Povlitz to talk about the enormous regional response to the Midair Collision earlier this year. I'm here at Haynes Point Park with Chief Donnelly from the District of Columbia and Chief Green from Prince George's County, and just a stone's throw away from the site of a horrible tragedy in January where American Airlines plane crashed in with a U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter, resulting in the deaths of 67 individuals. It was the most significant airline disaster we've had in the United States in 25 years. Tell me a little bit about where you were when this happened and what your response was.
I heard the call come out, and I listened to the initial part of the response and immediately came to the scene. It took a few minutes for me to realize that the significance of the incident. This area that you're looking at here, within eyesight of here, you have the Air Florida crash site and you have the Pentagon on 9/11.
The mutual aid agreement that you all are part of, that COG helps facilitate, is one tool that helped in this response. So talk a little bit about what that agreement is and why it's so important.
We've already ahead of time considered what resources are going to be needed, what each jurisdiction can and will be able to provide. That's what made the difference, is they followed exactly what was already put in place. There wasn't any questions or any calls that had to be made. We were already responding.
That night, over 350 responders coming together to work together. We hadn't ever done this plan exactly with this scenario, but they know enough about each other's choke points for each organization that they can come together and help during an event.
This was a big effort that is still with the first responders in terms of what they saw, the dive teams, the chief medical examiner in the district. What types of resources do they need ongoing after they move on from an event like this?
You realize very early on that our firefighters were suffering just from the things that they were seeing for being on the front line. So this incident to me is no different. So for us, from my perspective, offering them those resources and letting them know that it's okay to use them. The culture in the fire service sometimes can be that they don't want to come forward and say that they're struggling. And I think in our position as leaders in this region and the COG is to provide those resources, but also let them know that it's okay.
It's not only their mental health, but it's the cancer prevention. It's just general well-being, cardiac. There's chemical exposures in the water, tracking how our boat operators and our divers and rescue swimmers were being exposed and making sure that's recorded in case in the future there's problems from that.
Thank you for your time. We're grateful for your service. So thank you. Chief Povlitz, you've played a leadership role not only in Arlington County, but in this region, working with fire chiefs for a number of years. You can never be ready for the exact situation that goes down, but tell me a little bit about the trainings that you have helped facilitate.
So we work on lots of subcommittees to try to figure out what's going to be the best response and also training packages. So this is just a great regional hub to bring in individuals who have lots of varying perspectives on how to handle some of these extreme and novel emergencies. About 4 years ago, there was a great joint program between Arlington County Fire Department and the District of Columbia Fire and EMS Services, and also coordinated by COG. We were able to study and also get a common purchasing project for self-contained breathing apparatus. It's a critical life-saving equipment we need to enter immediately dangerous environments. So as we are moving forward with technical equipment, we're going to be looking towards COG to see if we can get different equipment or different vehicles into the common purchasing process. So we appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we look out over the river, I see the Metro Rail. That's another great example of an entity that runs throughout all of our jurisdictions. You don't have folks visiting the Smithsonian and getting folks in and out of the suburbs for work, but it's also got to be safe.
As the system has been expanding over the years, as ridership's increasing, the system has becoming safer and safer, but it's vital that we continue this work, continue these efforts to bring together law enforcement, fire rescue, EMS, emergency management, emergency communications, to make sure we are all working together to make sure the system is safe. We can respond and we can restore the system as fast as possible.
We're deeply grateful for your work and leadership, and thanks for all that you do.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm here on a beautiful spring day with Chief Manger, who's Chief of the United States Capitol Police. Chief, thank you for having us.
Happy to host you here at the Capitol. It's a beautiful day.
So much of the work that's done in this region is done behind the scenes, and folks maybe don't realize the number of programs and the amount of coordination that goes on. At the Council of Governments, one of them being the Mutual Aid Agreement. Tell our listeners a little bit about the Mutual Aid Agreement, what it is, and how practically does it come into play here on those events?
It was really the Council of Governments that originated that coordination of mutual aid in the Washington, D.C. area. I've been attending Police Chiefs Committee meetings nearly 30 years. And back at that time, that was the only place that police chiefs met, saw each other once a month, talked to each other about what was going on in their jurisdictions. Today, it's sort of, we take it for granted that there's good communication and that when something occurs, when you have a big event, and the relationship that the Council of Governments has helped the police chiefs create among each other, you can send a couple squads of police officers to help us. And what the Council of Governments has created over the years has become just second nature to police departments now. So I can't say enough good things about the issue of mutual aid and the ability to help each other.
And by the time that this episode airs, you're going to be enjoying a well-earned retirement. So congratulations.
Thank you.
And long experience in the region. I mean, we're asking more and more of our lawmen and women in terms of what they do and what they're responsible for. What's top of mind as you exit this profession? You got elected officials who'll be watching this. What do they need to be thinking about to make sure that your colleagues have the support that they need moving forward?
I've seen policing evolve for the last 46 years, and even issues like hiring and retaining police officers has changed and gotten more complex over the years, and the elected officials play such an important role in making sure that police chiefs, fire chiefs have what they need to make sure that public safety is fully staffed. Threats against elected officials, certainly that's a big issue for us here at the Capitol. I mean, we investigated over 9,000 threats against members of Congress last year. There's still folks that have concerns about policing, and having the public support, having the support of elected officials still remains a really significant issue for us.
Well, I hope that you hear it often, but you probably don't hear it often enough. But thank you. And with a deep amount of gratitude from a region that has benefited from your expertise and hard work for a long time.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Thank you, Chief. I'm here today with Clint Osborn. Clint is the director of DC's Homeland Security and Emergency Management Agency. Well, first of all, thank you for having us.
Of course.
And tell us a little bit about DC's Operations Center.
So this is the Emergency Operations Center for the District of Columbia, and for a lot of our big special events that we have around here, like inauguration, the 4th of July, we'll activate this center and it'll be the hub for the region. So a lot of our regional partners will come in here because if something goes wrong during one of those events or we have to pivot and change direction, we need all of them to know what's going on so that they can also relay that back out throughout the region.
And so we're in the middle of World Pride right now, and so I imagine this is a pretty busy place.
Yeah, we've been planning for World Pride for over a year, 3 years to plan the event, and then really intensively looking at security, safety, and support to the attendees from around the world who are here. We'll have folks out in the field on our mobile command bus, which serves as this room, but out in the field right close to the event.
So earlier in this episode, we talked a little bit about January's Midair Collision and the incredible regional response, 90 different agencies. One of the big advantages to that response was it wasn't the first time those folks had met. A lot of turnover at the federal, state, local level. Talk to me a little bit about practice and tabletops and how you use this space for folks to get to know each other so that when you do have a reason for folks to come together, they're ready.
By practicing, by training, and by exercising together, the initial questions of who's on first and who's doing what, they come almost pre-answered. And so when our leadership folks get on the scene, the first thing they say is, you've got this and I've got this, right? They're not making it up on the spot. That's something they've trained, they've worked on, and so when people get there, they know how to work together.
Brag a little bit on the Operations Center. It's beautiful, and it's inviting for folks to want to come in and collaborate. But tell us a little bit about kind of what we're looking at here and what the different pods are in terms of who comes in and what they do here on a daily basis.
So this is the newest version of our Emergency Operations Center. It's about 2.5 times as large as our previous version. We have pods over here that are broken up by functions. We have a whole room right over here, public information officers, the communicators, the people who take the message that we're generating in here and push it out to the whole community in social media, alerts and warnings. And then we have shared monitors. This center bay is where we communicate with our other emergency operations centers throughout the city, at the federal and at the local level. So this is a dashboard that shows you where incidents are happening. We're almost always running weather. You can see a summary of what kind of incidents we've got going on in the city. We've got right now monitoring air quality across the region. We manage media and social media. And then on our sidewalls, we tailor this content to what matters to each of our functional areas.
We've got a busy summer coming up, World Pride, 250th birthday, July 4th. So we're super grateful that you'd have us here today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for all that you do.
Thanks for coming by, and really thanks for helping us get the message out, because at the end of the day, it takes the whole community. People have to be prepared, businesses have to be prepared, and then the government that supports them has to be prepared. So it's one team, one fight. All right, man.
All right.
Thanks.
We're a region that's home to 6 million people. We host national and global events, and ensuring the security and safety of our residents and visitors requires close coordination across local, state, and federal agencies. Typically, this work takes place behind the scenes and out of sight. That's until a major incident happens. Then you see the benefits of these important collaborations. Learn more about our regional work to respond to emergencies at nwcog.org.